Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. I'm Andy Richards. Your top stories on Thursday, the 29th of November. A total fairy tale. Kent MP slams Bank of England's bleak Brexit outlook.
Somebody to come out now and say, if you don't do this or you don't do that, we're going to see this in 15 years' time. I don't believe it.
Jordan's battle, Kent footballers' superstar support after cancer shock.
And the next day when I spoke to her mum, she was like, oh, it's cancer. No words could explain.
We won't leave. Tonbridge tree protest enters a second week.
We're still up the tree, wind, rain, snow, we're here.
And in sport, rugby royalty comes to Kent. Mike Tindall visits Maidstone to coach the next generation.
A prominent Kent Brexiteer has rubbished the Bank of England's forecast of a disastrous Britain if the country leaves the EU without a deal. Sitting Borden Sheppey MP Gordon Henderson says Mark Carney's warning of a plunging pound and decimated house prices are a fairy tale. Businesses in Kent have been reacting to the suggestion that we could see a recession worse than the financial crisis 10 years ago. Here's Harry Pete with this exclusive report.
Financial turmoil, a huge recession, a market crisis. The most recent reports for businesses on a no-deal Brexit aren't looking good.
Now, the person making these predictions is this man, Mark Carney, who's the governor of the Bank of England. Now, in his predictions, he says that in the event of a bad no deal, our GDP, which is the value of our economic activity, could go down by more than 10%. And he has an even more startling prediction, which says that house prices could fall by as much as 30%. But those Brexiteers said it's project hysteria and that a good deal can be still ironed out.
I write fairy stories, and I reckon what we're seeing at the moment is another fairy story. I've heard it all before. I don't think there is anybody, there's no economist in our country who can predict what is going to be happening in 15 years' time. For somebody to come out now and say, if you don't do this or you don't do that, we're going to see this in 15 years' time, I don't believe it.
Business leaders, though, are concerned about these forecasts by the Governor of the Bank of England. Joe James is the Chief Executive of the Kent Invicta Chamber of Commerce and says that it's vital that our companies get clarity so they can plan their futures.
One thing that was released yesterday, that the Bank of England said that only half of businesses are actually planning for a no deal. And I think actually the figures are probably more than that if you're looking at small businesses. And if you look at our county, 90% of our businesses employ under 10. And small businesses that I've spoken to, not many have actually started to look at contingency planning, and they find it very difficult to look at contingency planning because the information isn't out there.
So how likely is a new deal or even no deal?
But I'm hoping that if it is voted down, as it looks as though it's going to get voted down, that the Prime Minister then will go back to the EU and say that I can't get this through Parliament, you've got to give us a concession, you've got to make it clear. And the one thing that they can do is make it clear when we're going to leave definitely the EU.
The business leaders and MPs all hoping to get the best deal possible for us, and the vote on the 11th of December could be key on clearing up the future for our traders. Harry Pete for KMTV.
And to discuss this in more detail, I'm joined by Professor Tim Luckhurst from the University of Kent. So, Tim, on a daily basis now, the twists and turns of Brexit. So this was huge news yesterday that came out from the Bank of England. Lots of people are saying that we really must look at it and take it seriously. Gordon Henderson there saying it's a fairy tale. What do you make of it all?
Well, of course, for hard Brexiteers, leaving the European Union has always been an ideological cause, not an economic one. And these are the best estimates that the Bank of England can make. Of course, they're not perfect. No economic forecasting ever is. But it's based on the same evidence as all government planning, and it's therefore careful and thought through. The reality is, leaving the European Union without a deal would be extremely damaging. Europe is the largest single market for Britain's goods and services. We'd have to change completely. So that would have some very substantial consequences.
And obviously there was a few different scenarios that were talked about yesterday, but of course the media and the public were going to look at those worst case ones. To say 30% decrease of house prices, the 8% shrink in the economy. What does Theresa May make of this today? Does this really help her in her quest to get this deal done?
Well, the problem for Theresa May is, of course, that even her deal, which the Bank of England's assessment suggests is a lot less bad for the economy than a hard exit, doesn't see the economy grow as quickly as it would have done if we'd stayed in the European Union. But then, as she and her Chancellor, who both wanted to remain in the EU, have both pointed out repeatedly, they are leaving the European Union because the British people voted for it, not because it's the greatest economic plan. They're Conservatives. They don't want to be on the wrong side of the argument with business, which funds them. Business wants stability. Business predominantly wanted to stay inside the EU.
And it's going to be a huge couple of weeks. We know that the Prime Minister is going to be touring the country, talking to members of the public. And there's also this debate that is causing a lot of debate in itself that will take place on the Sunday, the 9th of December.
Well,
what do you make of that?
Well, we hope that the debate will take place on Sunday, December the 9th. The Prime Minister's agreed to take part in a debate on the BBC. Mr Corbyn says he wants debate too, but he'd prefer it was on ITV. He says he'd like to watch I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here that night, and he doesn't want to disrupt the viewing of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Thinks viewers will want to see it too. I think there will be a debate. I'm not sure it'll be very enlightening. You'll have two politicians who agree about very little, except for the fact that they are essentially in favour at the moment of a deal to leave the European Union. And the public are not going to have any say in this because they're both opposed to there being a referendum on it. So why they're debating in front of the public? Tough one. Will they agree to debate? Well, let's see. If the BBC and ITV can't agree on it, I think we should do it here on KMTV.
Absolutely, Tim. Well, as always, thanks very much, and I'm sure we'll be talking lots more about Brexit very soon. Now, a UCAS report revealed there's been a rise in the number of university applicants receiving unconditional offers. So is that the case here in Kent? Well, the figures have increased by more than 2,000% in the last 5 years across the country. However, school leaders say the offers are discouraging students from aiming for the highest A-level grades. But did you get an unconditional offer? We asked students in Medway.
No, I got a conditional offer. I had to get maths and English grades to get in.
Did you get an unconditional offer?
I did. So yes, I got my unconditional offer and I met my requirements of my previous conditional one.
No, I had an offer based on my grades. So I think I was doing mechanical engineering. I'm doing mechanical engineering, sorry. I think the grade was like ABB or BBB or I can't remember, but it was just 3 years ago, I guess. But it was grade requirements, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for the universities I applied in Canada.
No, like my friend, I got a conditional offer to enter this uni, and it's the same sort of parameters, B, AB, that kind of thing. And so far, the course has been going well.
I also got my unconditional offer. I also met the conditional offers requirements. Yeah.
But I applied to the clearing, and I'm happy with the choice that I made.
Students at the University of Kent there. But what about you? Did you receive an unconditional offer ahead of going to uni? Let us know using the hashtag KentSays on social media. Now, a teenage goalkeeper from Kent has been inundated with support from across the world after being diagnosed with cancer. 18-year-old Jordan Dawes from Swanley suffered a stroke after playing for Kent Football United at the weekend. She was diagnosed with liver cancer after tests. Manchester United goalkeeper David De Gea led the support for the North Kent College student by sending her a pair of his goalkeeper gloves. Well, our reporter Emma Ray Woodhouse has more on the story for us now. So Emma, what else can you tell us?
So, as you mentioned, last week Jordan fell ill. Little did she know that it was actually cancer, and she was rushed to hospital with a stroke. And after tests, they found out that it was cancer. And that was in Darrant Valley Hospital, and now they're waiting for a bed in a London hospital where she's going to be treated by one of the best consultants in the world. So hopefully she can make her recovery.
And what about on social media? It really has captured the imagination of football fans, hasn't it?
Tons. So she's in a football team, which are a very close-knit team, a lot of her friends who they spend every day with, and they've decided to help her. They're going to put messages out on social media to try and get some sort of support. And she's had lots of support. So she's had some football icons such as Laura Rafferty, who plays in the England team, Jack from Love Island, Dan Osborne. But most importantly, like you mentioned there, one of her biggest football idols is David De Gea, who's Manchester United's goalkeeper, and he's said that he's going to send her gloves and his t-shirt to try and lift her spirits while she's in hospital. And her coach, Kira Watling, told me this morning how devastated she were and how she wanted to help by sending her these things.
She took her to hospital and she said it was a stroke, and I was just like, it like threw me completely because she's so young. And then the next day when I spoke to her mum, and she was like, oh, it's cancer. Like, no words could explain. I messaged De Gea and said, oh, could you mind if you could send me like a type of gloves, even a message, just to her, and he didn't reply. So I thought, I'm going to use like my followers on Instagram and Twitter for something worthwhile. We gave her the top and she was so excited, she loved it.
We'll have more from Jordan's teammates tomorrow. Now, after months of traffic chaos, part of the £500,000 improvement work around Tunbridge Station has now been finished. All of the day work on the road outside the station has been completed, although the road will still be closed for another 7 nights in order for resurfacing works to be carried out. The work began in July and was set to be done by autumn, which caused the town huge traffic problems. Still to come, ever thought the use of a Scottish £10 note could be a hate crime? We'll have more on that in a few minutes.
When I asked the lady behind the counter, she said the postmaster had instructed them not to take Scottish or Northern Irish notes. I pressed her again if I'd brought euros in, would she have accepted those? Yes, she would.
Welcome back to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. Now, a tree protest in Tonbridge has been going on for more than a week now. Campaigners have been taking turns staying in a tree to prevent developers from cutting it down as part of plans to build a new medical centre. Christina Curtis has been back to Tonbridge to find out the latest.
Protesters have been here for a week now in order to protect this conker tree. Since last Thursday, there's been somebody up in the tree at all times in order to prevent it from being cut down. Developers Assura are planning to build a new medical centre near the river lawn in Tonbridge. But part of their plans include felling this conker tree, something which the Keep River Lawn campaign group aren't happy about.
We weren't quite sure what to expect when we started. We just thought we'd be here for as long as it takes to keep the tree safe, and it's been amazing. I think as long as we've had people coming past and supporting us, we're happy to stay for as long as we can, as long as we need to. At the moment, it's got a bleeding canker. It's not anything major. Most horse chestnuts have got them, and it's something that can actually recover from. So it's not kind of a life-threatening thing for the tree. It could still have 30 to 40 years of life left in it. Just please listen to the people here. We love this area. We love this tree, and just please listen to our wishes and see if we can do everything we can to keep it in place.
We've been here a week and we're getting signatures constantly, people coming from all over the town to sign our petition, and yeah, it's great. We're still up the tree, wind, rain, snow, we're here.
A meeting has now been arranged between representatives of the campaign group and Assura.
We're meeting them tomorrow at 9 o'clock, so we're going to listen to what they say. Hopefully they can come up with some kind of compromise so we can keep the tree. We're really looking forward to hearing what they have to say to us. So yeah, we're all ears. Let's hope we hear something that will save the tree.
A spokesman for Assura said, "At the very earliest stages, we explored all possible options for working around the tree. If there had been a solution, we would have supported it. Removing a tree is never a decision which is taken lightly. The tree has a bleeding canker, and there is a high risk of it becoming unstable when foundations are laid for the centre within the root protection zone, creating a safety issue for patients, staff and the wider public. We're looking forward to talking with representatives from the group and continue to thank those who have been in touch with questions. Hopefully, both sides will get to the root of the problem in tomorrow's meeting and come to an agreement." This is Christina Curtis for KMTV.
Now, a Medway mum says an implant has ruined her life after the procedure caused mounting health problems. Charlene Baldwin signed up for a permanent contraceptive implant 8 years ago, but her health has since deteriorated dramatically, changing her life and her ability to bring up her children. She's warning others of the problems it can cause.
It's just one thing after another. Every time I go to the doctors or to a hospital appointment, I'm diagnosed with something else. Most days I can't even get out of bed. My 9-year-old has to help me dress. No child of 9 should have to do that. She's never known me to be well because she was only 10 months old when I had it done. I'm 38. I've been suffering since I was 30. It's a long time to be suffering.
Now, with news of an ex-England rugby international coming to Kent, here's Joe with the sports.
First up in sport and in rugby, a Royal Rugby legend has come to Kent to coach the next generation of stars. Mike Tyndall spent the afternoon at Maidstone Rugby Club coaching the junior side along with children from the Young Lives Foundation, and Tommaso D'Amidio was at the session.
On one side, a World Cup winner married to a member of the royal family. On the other, lots of kids willing to take a picture with him. What brings them together? Rugby and their passion for this sport. On Wednesday the 28th of November, Mike Tyndall visited Maidstone Rugby Club as an ambassador of the Maidstone-based corporate hospitality company, Hospitality Finder. Mike coached the junior squad along with children from local charity, Young Lives Foundation.
I think what we'll be looking out for tonight is mainly making sure they have fun.
there's obviously a huge age range from 6 to 15, so there's a lot of different things what the laws allowed through that age group. So I think it'll mainly be about fun. We'll probably keep contact to the minimum and just make sure they go away with positive experience of rugby and positive experiences of Maidstone Rugby Club.
As soon as the kids started to put their studs and helmets on, I asked them how they were feeling about meeting such a legend.
It's going to be like one opportunity to get inspiration from him and see how a rugby player's life goes.
He looks like he has a lot of experience about rugby, and I would like to get better and better, so he might tell me some tips what to do.
Neil Vickery, one of the managers from the Young Lives Foundation, said they were delighted to be invited and take part to the event.
We would obviously like to thank Mike Tyndall, Hospitality Finder, and Maidstone Rugby Club for inviting us to the event this evening. Sport is such a wonderful way for young people to learn new skills, for fitness, to make new friends, and it's really good for confidence and self-esteem.
Maidstone Rugby Club chairman Craig Tuffrey highlights the meaning of this event for the local community.
It's fantastic to welcome Mike Tyndall down here again and get involved with the youth section this time, and it's even more gratified to us to involve ourselves with the community and to get YLF on board as well, to sort of grow the family of rugby within the Maidstone community and get everyone involved in sport.
After training, the children and their parents had a chance to have their questions answered by Tyndall, as well as the picture and autograph opportunities. Tommaso Di Midio for KMTV.
Football now, and it's a return to FA Cup action for Gillingham as they take on National League South side Slough. With Callum Riley's potential suspension at the weekend, it gives the likes of Dean Parrott, who signed in the summer, a chance to shine. The midfielders had a difficult start to the campaign, battling 3 different injuries, but is back fit again and wants a chance to play against the big boys if they get through on Sunday. Last season, Parrott missed Wimbledon's tie with Spurs at Wembley through injury and knows exactly what it's like to miss the magic of the Cup.
It's the worst feeling ever. Worst feeling ever, especially coming through at Tottenham as well. It was my chance to go back there and play against some of good friends that I made as well, that have made it at the top level, and to play against them, play in the stadium. I'm still very good friends with a lot of the people that work there as well, so it was a shame, yeah.
You're up to date on sports. I'll be back with more from the Gills ahead of their FA Cup tie, plus reaction from Kent cricket coach Matt Walker later on in the programme.
Next tonight, Kent police have dismissed an alleged hate crime after a post office in Kent refused to accept a Scottish £10 note. Scottish currency isn't considered legal tender in England, but is widely accepted. Isabel Miller went to Walderslade to see if it would happen again.
Patrick Burgess and his son from Walderslade came back from visiting Scotland, and when they tried to use their Scottish currency, a post office in Walderslade refused to take it. So he then reported the refusal to the police as a hate crime.
When I asked the lady behind the counter, she said the postmaster had instructed them not to take Scottish or Northern Irish notes. I pressed her again if I'd brought euros in, would she have accepted those? Yes, she would. If I'd brought American dollars in, would she have accepted those? Yes, she would. The only currency they wouldn't take is Scottish or Northern Irish.
Although Patrick felt compelled enough to contact the police, he had second thoughts.
I believe it is probably more ignorance than a hate crime. That although it may not be legal tender in the shops in England, or in Scotland for that matter, it is a legal currency.
Police have said that this does not meet the points to prove for a hate crime offence, and there is no indication that the post office did not take the notes on the basis that they dislike Irish and Scottish people. So Patrick's experience inspired me to see what other shops in Walderslade do. I tried this Scottish £10 note on 2 shops in Walderslade, both being quite contrasting. So I used this in the post office in Walderslade next to me, and they didn't accept my £10 Scottish note. But then I walked into Abflab Flowers and they immediately took my £10 Scottish note. now after going into a couple more shots. I went into an off licence who said they don't accept the Scottish £10 note, but then they changed their mind and said they're not really sure. And then I finally just gone into a chemist who said they flat out don't take Scottish £10 notes because the people who they deal with in terms of money say that they don't accept them. Now I'm finally going to try this fish and chip shop and see if they take the infamous Scottish £10 note. The chip shop did accept it, and it may not be a hate crime, but post offices are meant to take Scottish currency as their policy. But just make sure, if you do want to spend your Scottish pounds, don't expect everyone to accept them. Isabel Miller for KMTV.
A reminder, you can watch Kent Tonight live and on Catch Up at our website, kmtv.co.uk. You can stay up to date with all the news, sport and weather from right across Kent, whenever and wherever you are. You'll find breaking news, local features and repeats of our special programmes. It'll remain warm for this time of year, with evening temperatures remaining in double figures. It's a similar start to Friday morning with some outbreaks of sun. You might feel a few spots of rain in Ashford though. That should have cleared up by the afternoon with temperatures around 10. It'll feel fairly warm as we head into the weekend, as it's set to rain throughout the county. When we come back, we'll bring you the latest after a lorry overturned on the M2 near Sittingbourne this morning, causing major tailbacks. See you in a few moments. Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. I'm Andy Richards. Your top stories on Thursday, the 29th of November. A total fairy tale. Kent MP slams Bank of England's bleak Brexit outlook.
Somebody to come out now and say, if you don't do this or you don't do that, we're going to see this in 15 years' time. I don't believe it.
Jordan's battle, Kent footballers' superstar support after cancer shock.
And the next day when I spoke to her mum and she was like, oh, it's cancer, like, no words could explain.
We won't leave. Tonbridge tree protest enters a second week.
We're still up the tree, wind, rain, snow, we're here.
And in sport, no slacking at Slough. Gill's manager plans full-strength side for FA Cup.
Our top story this Thursday evening. A prominent Kent Brexiteer has rubbished the Bank of England's forecast of a disastrous Britain if the country leaves the EU without a deal. Sittingbourne and Sheppey MP Gordon Henderson says Mark Carney's warning of a plunging pound and decimated house prices are a fairy tale. Businesses in Kent have been reacting to the suggestion that we could see a recession worse than the financial crisis 10 years ago. Here's Harry Pete with this exclusive report.
Financial turmoil, a huge recession, a market crisis. The most recent reports for businesses on a no-deal Brexit aren't looking good.
Now, the person making these predictions is this man, Mark Carney, who's the governor of the Bank of England. Now, in his predictions, he says that in the event of a bad no deal, our GDP, which is the value of our economic activity, could go down by more than 10%. And he has an even more startling prediction, which says that house prices could fall by as much as 30%. But those Brexiteers said it's project hysteria and that a good deal can be still ironed out.
I write fairy stories, and I reckon what we're seeing at the moment is another fairy story. I've heard it all before. I don't think there is anybody, there's no economist in our country who can predict what is going to be happening in 15 years' time. For somebody to come out now and say, if you don't do this or you don't do that, we're going to see this in 15 years' time, I don't believe it.
Business leaders, though, are concerned about these forecasts by the Governor of the Bank of England. Joe James is the Chief Executive of the Kent Invicta Chamber of Commerce and says that it's vital that our companies get clarity so they can plan their futures.
And if you look at our county, 90% of our businesses employ under 10, and small businesses that I've spoken to, not many have actually started to look at contingency planning, and they find it very difficult to look at contingency planning because the information isn't out there.
The business leaders and MPs all hoping to get the best deal possible for us, and the vote on the 11th of December could be key on clearing up the future for our traders. Harry Pete for KMTV.
Maidstone commuters could be set for even more traffic chaos on Kent's roads next summer. Major road improvements to the area around the A249 near Bearsted are set to last for 18 months. It's part of a scheme to upgrade the road network to accommodate the extra traffic from a new development on Eclipse Park and the Maidstone Medical Campus. The Bearsted and Turnham Society is concerned that the work will be carried out simultaneously with work converting the M20 to a smart motorway, though, which is already causing hold-ups throughout the county. A British Airways flight seen circling over the county before returning back to Heathrow had to dump fuel in the English Channel before it could land. The Boeing 747, which was bound for Kenya, caused a stir as it was seen circling at low altitude around Canterbury for about 45 minutes. Its landing gear had failed to retract properly, meaning it could not carry on its journey to Nairobi. The airline said the technical issue was minor and has apologised to customers for the disruption. A tracking map online shows that the plane had been flying over Herne Common before banking around, heading over Wingham and then swooping over Blean. Now, motorists faced long delays on the M2 near Sittingbourne this morning after a lorry overturned on the A249 slip road. The air ambulance, police and fire crews were called to the London-bound exit at Junction 5 for the Stockby roundabout. Our reporter Keelan Webster was at the scene earlier and joins me now. So what more can you tell us, Keelan?
Yeah, so as you rightly say, the incident which took place close to the Stockby roundabout, and fire crews, officers, they were called there at just before 5:45 this morning. Now, I arrived shortly before 8 o'clock, and as you can see, this was still the scene when I got there. The lorry very much overturned, and all of its debris coming out of it, which was alcohol cans. As I arrived at the scene, police and fire crews still attending the incident. Huge tailbacks as a result. Pictures you're seeing at the moment just coming up to the slip road on the A249, where traffic had really hit a standstill throughout the morning. What road policing units said later on was that the driver of the lorry had actually been on duty for 26.5 hours and had been driving for 11.5 of those. They added that the load was completely insecure, and that the tyres were in poor condition, and some of the trailer brakes weren't connected as well. So it's just part of the reasons as to why this incident occurred this morning.
And that the pictures look fairly devastating. What about the driver? What kind of condition is he in?
Yeah, so the driver was taken to King's College Hospital in London by road, even though the air ambulance did land at the scene, and he's being treated for head and arm injuries. Firefighters had to actually use heavy rescue equipment just to free him after, obviously, the lorry had overturned. The road reopened at around 1:45 this afternoon, so traffic is now moving okay through that region, but we wait to see an update on the driver to see what condition he's in now.
Yet another horrible crash on our roads. Keenan, thanks very much indeed. Thank you. Now, don't forget, you can keep up to date on all things going on in Kent by visiting our website, kmtv.co.uk. You can check out some of our latest stories from across the county, like this video about a children's television presenter coming to Kent.
An airplane in a playground. This was the unusual setting at Hadlow Primary School this morning, as children learned about the humanitarian work done by aviation-based charity MAF. They fly doctors and supplies to some of the poorest and most deprived areas of the world, and children had the chance to go inside one of the planes used on these journeys, and all as part of a project called Advent Adventure.
This time of year it's all about shopping and commercialisation, which is great, but actually we'd like to encourage people to think outside that kind of what can I get box and think about what they can give. So we're showing the children what we do. It's lovely to see them actually. You don't often get very close to an aircraft, and especially one like this. Who knows, we could have a future MAF pilot flying through rainforests, over jungles, over swamps.
And the children were also paid a visit by TV presenter Gemma Hunt, who's best known for her work on the hit CBeebies show Swashbuckle. And she was there to surprise the young ones, who got to meet their hero and have a look around the aircraft. So, most importantly, what did the children make of the surprise?
I wasn't really expecting it. First, we didn't know why there was a plane here, and we told our teacher and she thought it was to collect some wood, but it turns out it wasn't.
Is it exciting to have a big presenter coming in?
Yeah, because that's my first person to see on the TV.
And although Gemma was there to meet and greet some of her young fans, she was also acting as an ambassador for MAF, and she says she'll do what she can to spread the word about what they do.
I think they're one of the unsung heroes of our generation, really. I think a lot of us don't appreciate that there are people that need the things that we take for granted. We can just go into a supermarket and buy all the medical supplies or even food that we need. But these guys are flying to people that are so remote, taking them things that are life-changing, life-saving. It's really, really important, and so it definitely needs to be more supported.
And finally, of course, Gemma is better known for doing the swashbuckle salute. So Gemma, take it away.
All right then, let me see you all marching. Put your hands on your heart and eye patch. Pirate hat.
Pirate hat.
Swashbuckle cheer. Oh,
well
this
is Phil Welbrook for KMTV.
Oh, Phil. Back now to the news of a rise in the number of university applicants getting unconditional offers. According to a UCAS report, figures have spiked by more than 2,000% in the last 5 years. However, school leaders say that the offers are discouraging students from aiming for the highest A-level grades. Are you happy with your choice? We asked students in Medway.
I kind of knew that the uni was using me to get in because it was like my backup one, so the grade boundaries were very low, and then I got unconditional offer from them. But yeah, I'm happy I didn't choose it just because it was unconditional. conditional, happy I chose a conditional one and just worked for it because it was a better course and I enjoy it.
I'm happy with my course, but yeah, no, I don't agree that people should just get given conditional offers.
I would say I wouldn't regret my course because it's what I expected. I'm studying mechanical engineering and it's pretty fun. Sometimes it's pain, but it's pretty good, yeah.
Course is really good so far, but if the uni gave me that unconditional offer, like from the other unis, before I started this uni, then I think I would have chosen other unis because the thing is I live in London and the campus I'm right now based in is Kent, which just means that the travel's really long. So I'd rather go to a uni like Brunel or Queen Mary.
Right now I'm doing mechanical engineering and so far I'm enjoying it. I'm on my final year, so hopefully I'll be passing soon.
To be honest, I really wanted to study here because like the environment is nice. It's in the countryside and I thought it would be close to what my hometown looks like.
Still to come, Joe will be back with more sport for you and we'll bring you a preview ahead of the latest episode of Based in Kent. You can see the full programme here on KMTV at 9:15 this evening. See you in a few minutes.
I said slow down, baby, take a look at your life. I'll be here, just take your time. Hold on, baby, let me cast your fears aside.
Welcome back to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV on Thursday, the 29th of November. In case you missed it, do you believe in fairy tales? Kent MP rubbishes Bank of England's take on a no-deal Brexit.
Somebody to come out now and say, if you don't do this or you don't do that, we're going to see this in 15 years' time. I don't believe it.
A long battle ahead. Support for Kent teenage footballer after cancer shock.
Took her to hospital and she said it was a stroke, and I was just like, it like freed me completely because she's so young.
We're barking up the right tree. Tonbridge protesters say they're going nowhere.
Please listen to the people here. We love this area, we love this tree, and just please listen to our wishes.
And in sport, Spitfires on their travels. Kent coach Matt Walker relishes test ground challenges.
Time now for your pick of the papers with a look at what's making the news in print, online and radio across Kent today. Earlier on, I spoke to KMTV's Ayo Ali, who started off by telling me about a restaurant chain banning mobiles.
So my first story is about the UK's first family-friendly restaurant to introduce a no-phone ban. So Frankie and Benny's, the Italian restaurant chain, which has branches in Medway, Maidstone, Westwood Cross and Margate, has said they've introduced no phone boxes. And this comes after 72% of children, surprisingly, have said their parents don't talk to them enough. And another survey also showed that 56% of youngsters feel they need more attention from their mum and dad. And the restaurant has introduced an incentive. So if you comply with the phone ban, you get to have kids eating free, activities such as puzzles, colouring books, and loads of games for the family to enjoy together. And this will happen from now to the 7th of December.
What about your second story, though?
So my second story is about a 48-year-old mum and her family who were denied entry into Take Me Out on 2 separate occasions. So the first time, which happened earlier on this month, they got super excited, got all dressed up, and they got to the ITV studios in Maidstone, and they were told, oh, you can't come in. They called the ticketing office called Applause Store, and the man was really apologetic and offered them 5 tickets this time. So she got more people involved, her nieces, her nephews, and they even paid for a babysitter, got dressed for a 90s 18 costume theme, and they waited 20 minutes and were still denied entry. So she's called them again, but they haven't responded to her. So it was a bit of a take me home rather than a take me out situation.
No likey on that one. And what about the third story?
So my final story is about 2 sets of Sittingbourne neighbours who won £90,000 in the postcode lottery. So they're just 2 roads apart, and the first family, the Mitchell family, won 30 grand, and they said they want to give a chunk of the money to their daughter who goes to university, pay for some holidays and finish the renovations on their house. And the other family, called the Kite family, who's just on Borden Lane, said they want to use it to have an extra special Christmas and buy loads of champagne. And the good thing about the lottery is that a minimum of 32% of each ticket goes to charity, and 4,000 charities have won £361 million from the postcode lottery. And even charities in Kent, such as the Space to Be Me, won £6,400 last year from the postcode lottery.
Thanks very much indeed. A reminder, you can watch Kent Tonight live and on catch-up at our website, kmtv.co.uk. You can stay up to date with all the news, sport and weather from right across Kent, whenever and wherever you are. You'll find breaking news, local features and repeats of our special programmes.
First up in sports, Kent cricket head coach Matt Walker's relishing the challenge of taking his side to several test match grounds next season. The Spitfires won promotion to Division 1 and can now look forward to 4-day cricket at Edgbaston, Headingley and the Oval. And Walker believes his side have earned their right to be amongst the best and is extremely excited for the challenge. Football now, and Gillingham hosts Slough in the FA Cup second round this weekend, the lowest ranked team left in the competition. Slough currently sit 13th, 3 leagues below the Gills in the National League South. While some managers could use it as an opportunity to rest players, boss Steve Lovell sees the game as a potential banana skin.
I don't think you can do that. I think it's not fair, and firstly of the players who've been playing and won and they're enjoying their football. But not only that, you've got to give respect to Slough. There'll be a tough opposition, and I don't think by putting, and you can say, well, you're going to put your younger boys out, but no, it'll be the strongest team possible going out there on Sunday.
It'll remain warm for this time of year this evening, with temperatures remaining in double figures. It's a similar start to Friday morning with some outbreaks of sun. You might feel a few spots of rain in Ashford though. That should have cleared up by the afternoon with temperatures around 10 degrees. It'll feel fairly warm as we head into the weekend, but it's set to rain throughout the county. So Thursday means music, and just before we go, we've got time to give you a preview of this evening's edition of Based in Kent. This week, Poppy Jeffrey is joined by Fred Clark, a singer-songwriter from Maidstone. You can catch the full programme at 9:15 tonight, and of course on KMTV.co.uk.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm doing 3 gigs in one day. So I'm starting off in Rochester at 1 o'clock at the Christmas market. Then I'm going to Canterbury, Whitefriars for their Christmas market at 3. And then I'm not flying, but driving from there to Tunbridge Wells to play at the Spa Hotel at 8 o'clock. So it's a really busy day.
A really busy day. Lots of driving as well. So what do you listen to when you're in the car?
I normally listen to music that gets me pumped up. So at the moment, driving here today, I was listening to George Ezra.
Good
Love
shout.
his new album. But I'm also into quite punk rock stuff. So at the moment, I'm listening to a lot of Neck Deep, and I just found a new band called Stand Atlantic, who I think are amazing. So mixture of stuff.
You never know, the next Fred Clark album could be a punk rock album, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. If I get back together with my old band, maybe, yeah.
Oh gosh, that'd be such a difference from what you're playing at the moment.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
What's kind of upcoming for you? Obviously, you've got gigs kind of promoting your album. Are you going to plan on recording a next album soon?
Gosh, I think at the moment it's all about gigs. I want to do as many gigs in as many different places as possible and just share this new album because, as I said, some of the songs I wrote 18 months, 2 years ago, and so I've been holding off playing them until they've been released. So for the time being, it's all about gigs. It's all about promoting this album because I think it's got the legs to kind of go for, another 2 years.
Amazing.
But I love recording, and so it won't be long until I'm back doing something.
Of course.
Yeah.
What's the reaction been like from the people you've been playing to in gigs? Do they like this new album?
Yeah, it's been wonderful. It really has. It's been a really, really wonderful reception to it. From family, from friends, and from fans as well. They've loved the development of my music. They've loved that there's still those kind of happy, boppy, summery songs, but there's also these mature songs as well, like the next one that I'm going to play for you.
Perfect segue. So tell us a bit about the next song you're going to be playing. Where's it coming?
It's called Cast Your Fears Aside, and I've always suffered with anxiety and kind of had ups and downs in life, and I was having a really stressful day and my wife was on her way home. I was in the midst of writing this depressing song and she sent me some really positive messages and they made up the chorus of this song. So it's a kind of call and response to that, really.
Amazing. So just quickly, before I let you play your final song for us, where can people get this album? Where can they listen to it? Where can they download it?
So it's on CD, and the best place to get that is to go fredclark.co.uk. It's also on iTunes and Spotify and all those places. It is just available everywhere. I think the best place to come is to gigs, because I've got T-shirts and badges and deluxe albums. So, yeah, come to a gig.
Lovely. So play us out. Take it away.
I believed in them and they believed in me. And when the night is dark, the shallows seem so deep. But I can walk and I can hear my heart. And when you're near, I know I feel where you are. She said,
slow down, baby, take a deep old breath. I'll be coming, but I can't say when. Hold on, baby, let me cast your fears aside. I said slow down, baby, take a look at your life. I'll be here, you just take your time. Hold on, baby, let me cast your fears aside. I believed the truth became a lie. And when I start to trust, I feel so cast aside. But I can breathe and I can find my soul. And when you're near, I know I finally grow. She said, slow down, baby, take a deep old breath. I'll be coming, but I can't say when. Hold on, baby, let me cast your fears aside. I said slow down, baby, take a look at your life.